Hey everybody, it's Ben here, and today we are at Velo City Bike Shop in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, because we were talking electric bikes. I got a couple guys here with me that, frankly, I met one of them, Cal, a while back, because he had a cool electric bike to show me, and it turns out it wasn't just you, it was a couple of guys together working on this electric bike. So, I mean, whoever wants to get this started, but tell me about this electric bike that you guys built.
All right, so 20 plus years ago I got hooked into electric vehicles and bikes and motorcycles, and I didn't think the bike thing was going to really be a thing for me. It was more of a car thing, but financials and whatnot brought it back to the bike. And then I got a couple of guys on board to help me out to get this going a little quicker to market than I could do myself. Obviously, you need good people behind you to get a good thing going.
So was that from the start you were already thinking about not just building this for yourself, but being a commercial product, something you could build for other people?
Absolutely. Okay. My biggest thing was kit parts for cars, to get people to build cars that if they couldn't afford electric vehicles, what could I offer them? And then it totally took its own route to make a more economical sense and test out some of the stuff that we want to introduce to the market.
Okay.
And so that's why John was one of the first guys that I got on board to help me develop some of the technology that's actually in the bike, which is a little different than everybody else.
Okay, so you're kind of the ideas guy, sketches, designs, things like that. John, you've been working on what, batteries and electronics, that kind of thing?
Correct, yeah. My background is electrical engineering, and so we met at our current place of work, and it was really just, Cal needed help with developing the electrical system. I was intrigued, had just finished up a side project, and I thought, I'll pick up a new one. So kind of came aboard helping, and we've been working for a few years now on not just the bike, but also his car ideas, and though those are kind of running in parallel but a little on the back burner, the bike has been the major focus, and so we've been trying out different motor kits and just trying to see what would meld seamlessly with the frame designs that he had, and how do we take best advantage of that frame design and give us the electric power we want and that range that people want when they're riding an electric bike.
Sure. And then Avi, what kind of work have you been doing on this project?
So our association started as being neighbors first, and then over the fire and some drinks, and we started talking about what his dreams are and what he wants. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. How can I help? What I can do? I have an IT background myself. Okay. So just came in, started doing some kind of management, looking around at like what they're doing, giving it like a shape and process to move ahead with it. Okay. So just helping with all the management and any kind of, as you say, behind the scenes, whatever we need to do in order to market it, to take it out there financially, and to manage the overall process and the timeline and the deliverables. And so that's what we are working on, and it just helps to be friends and knowing everybody together working as a team. And
okay, so basically we've got a couple guys with
exactly
a wide skill set, bikes, cars, power electronics, computers, and friendship all working together. So you guys, like Voltron or Captain Planet, you let your powers combine and you build an electric bike. So tell me about the electric bike. What are the specs? What's different than other electric bikes? Because there's a ton of electric bikes out there, both commercially built and do-it-yourselfers. I mean, I threw a hub motor on a bike about 10 years ago. That's what started me into clean transportation. So what's unique about this one, and what's cool about it?
The main thing which sold me about the bike was the frame. It's pretty unique, and it's something which totally different. Nobody else has something like that, and we definitely have something going on there. So, and the whole idea behind to take a new design mindset and change people's thought process and put some electricity in it to make it more interesting.
And it's a pretty cool looking frame, but where's the battery?
Yep.
Right, yeah, so the battery I've always integrated into my frames. The actual design of the bike is from a motorcycle sketch that I had from years ago. And I was like, you know what, this actually makes sense right here, right now, incorporating it into a bicycle frame. and it just ended up working spec-wise for some of the materials that I was actually looking at for the battery sizes and then everything else that fits inside. And then, by the way, John, can you actually make this happen? And that's kind of how it happened.
So tell me a little bit about the battery. What's pack capacity? Is this a power battery, energy battery, 18650s? What are we looking at?
Sure. So yeah, the pack is made up of 18650s, as you mentioned. They're not quite power discharge cells in this prototype, and that was for a cost savings, just as we're building it. So they're general purpose discharge cells, but 18650s nonetheless.
How many are in there?
There are, oh boy,
Put
testing
you on the
me.
spot.
Yeah. Huh?
Over 80.
Yeah, I bet it's somewhere around 80 cells, I think.
Okay.
And they're all tucked into that frame, nice and compact.
Yeah.
The discharge capacity is about 18 amp hours you'd put it at.
Okay. Well, actually, when I built an electric bike, it was with 3 lead-acid batteries, and I literally used 18 amp hour SLA batteries. Of course, with lead, you get about half that, and all the weight as well, which was not good for potholes. But you've got a nice little battery pack. It's built right into the frame, and 2 motors on this thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the all-wheel drive. Goes through 3 inches of snow with no problem, even with trail tires. I was going like a bat out of hell in my backyard, making my stepfather nervous as hell.
Have you had this out on bike trails, wood chips, that kind of stuff?
We've taken it to many places. So
Okay.
we took it to the energy fair, and they let us drive it around their field, and that was pretty rough. So we got a chance to really jostle the bike, which was good because we want to make sure that what's the weakest link in the bike right now as far as a prototype goes. So we could work through that and say, okay, now we found a weakness. Let's fix that weakness, find out what we need to go to next.
Cool. Well, and actually, like, I've worked on a lot of projects where it's DIY, a lot of times duct tape and zip ties, and I'm finally at the point in my life when I build a project, it looks half decent by the time I'm done, but I'm starting to use, you know, some little CAD type tools, vinyl cutters, and I've never been big on 3D printers, but a lot of times just going to the computer to control things. So are you guys, now I don't know, but I don't think you had any like laser jet or water jet cut parts on this or anything. This is, what do you?
Well, we have plas cut parts.
You did?
We
Okay.
also have 3D printed parts that hold the battery pack in place. Yeah, we've actually...
So you are getting
Oh, yeah.
essentially micro manufacturing
Yes.
tools. So if you
Yes.
wanted to, let's say if you wanted to make a pile of these, you'd be able to send your files off to a Big Blue Saw or someplace like that, start mass producing these things then, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We have 2 more people on our team. One definitely is a welder, and another is an electrical engineer, just as John. So we have those people's help in making everything we want to.
Okay, that's welding isn't a strength of mine. I can do a passable job on
Exactly.
on steel. I'm not saying it's pretty, but it'll hold. I have no experience with welding. Actually, a friend did help me weld an aluminum cart once, which now has a crack or 2 in it.
Yeah. Well, welding, we definitely wanted to make sure that was one of our strong suits. Our welder is a certified welder, and he is great at doing
And
aluminum.
this is a full-time welding shop guy.
Yes, he runs his own business, yeah.
Okay.
Sigmatic.
What else do you want to tell me about this bike? What's your favorite thing about it?
Speed.
What's the top speed? How fast does it go?
I've gotten it up to 28.
Okay.
So that's moving pretty quickly. Of course, I am a lighter guy, so I mean...
That is actually illegally fast in some
Yeah,
areas.
yeah.
So.
I want it faster. We'll get there, but yeah, we will...
I think that's downhill too.
Yeah. Could been, I don't know.
Technically, the specs on these motors, they top it out at 25 kilometers per hour, which is about 16 miles per hour.
And that's one of the things with hub motors is your gearing is basically built in. It's, you know, it's not like, but you still got pedals too.
We've seen
You
like
still
on
have
level
pedals.
ground about 20,
Okay.
21 miles an hour.
And I think in Wisconsin, legally, you're not supposed to take electric bikes past 20 miles an hour.
Correct.
That is correct. So that's a design constraint that on our, as we proceed with next levels of prototypes, we have to make sure we're underneath that limit.
Yeah, because I know there are a lot of guys that do it-yourself e-bikes, and some of them have crazy like I do not want to go 50 miles an hour on a bicycle, period. I do not want to do that. But some guys, I don't know why they decide that's something they want to design for.
Yeah.
It's probably just a crazy gearhead like me.
No, I do have another question, and I think I know what the answer is going to be. When I built an electric bike with a hub motor, it was a pretty wimpy hub motor, and what I would do is I would take it through the gears, just the first couple of pedals to get going, and then after that I'd kick it in with the throttle and really take off for two reasons. One, the actual acceleration wasn't great on that motor, but the other thing was the torque was really crazy, and I actually bent my front fork once because of that. So how's the acceleration, and is there anything specific you did for torque protection? I know sometimes you do some extra big plates to prevent twisting.
So we didn't have to do that with the design that I did. So with the first prototype, to kind of combat that torquing, we did go with a steel fork.
Okay.
So the front fork is steel, so we're not going to have that problem because we do have an all-wheel drive bike. The second part of it is the rear stays. Those are a 1/4 inch thick aluminum plate.
Okay.
So definitely I did put a little bit of thought and engineering into that.
Okay.
The torque is pretty good. You do not have to pedal start with our bike.
And you've got two motors,
And
so
we got two
basically
motors, so
you've
you
got
can-
double the torque, double the traction
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
Really, like when I blast off on the bike, I'll just steady myself, put one foot up on a pedal, and then
Just throttle.
I hit the throttle and I'm gone. I just pick up my foot like if I was on a motorcycle and taking off. So unless if you're kind of like moving at sluggish speed and you just want to navigate like around a sidewalk or parking lot, then you could pedal it. I mean, there's always a pedal feature to it. That's what makes it a bicycle still.
Well, and that's one thing I've always liked about electric bikes is they are all technically hybrid. So heaven forbid you blow a fuse or something. You can always pedal the thing, and it's not like you're super lazy and not getting any exercise.
Right, exactly.
You can always pedal if you need to. With the batteries are kaput for the day, you can still pedal it, and it's really not that difficult to pedal. It
Especially
feels
going
like a
uphill.
normal bike to me. Yeah.
Going uphill, you can basically keep both the throttles in and pedal at the same time. You get more traction.
Well, I'm lazy, so going uphill is definitely when I want the electric
Definitely.
motors.
That's
so.
what I use it for.
That's same here. I've taken that bike out, I think, more than I've ridden my entire life, especially with my daughter.
Well, one thing I found when I had an electric bicycle is that I would use it more like a car, whereas if I had just a plain pedal bicycle, I wouldn't. The pedal bike, I'd ride for pleasure, for exercise, but I wouldn't commute on it. And with an electric bike, I would.
You can.
And that was the big difference between the two to me.
Definitely. And I think it holds the charge pretty well as well.
Yeah, full throttle, that bike can go an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, if you were just
that's a pretty decent
going
commute.
along
Exactly,
constant
yeah.
speed with the throttles, we were figuring
Yeah.
about an hour and a quarter.
What kind of recharge time could I commute somewhere, charge at work, and have a full charge coming back?
Our anticipated goal is to have it charged within 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
On this prototype, we don't have a smart charger like you normally have with a finished product. So I mean, our charge times will vary right now. Prototype.
Okay. Well,
but-
frankly, sometimes chargers are pretty expensive components, especially for
Correct.
the high power ones.
Exactly.
And when we're still trying to figure out what that charger is going to look like, what are its specifications, we're just really charging with a simple off-the-shelf one right now,
Okay.
and it's about a 3 to 5 hour charge.
But if you're at
So-
work all day, 3 to 5
That's-
hours is
that's
Definitely
more than enough.
More than enough,
Right.
Yeah.
To get a full charge.
So this is something you built. You put a lot of thought into it, but it's still really it's a prototype. You've got another bike in the works right now, and then that one is what's the difference? What are the improvements or the things that you've changed between the original and this second generation, this beta bike?
So I guess one of the first and cool ones is we did stay close to the profile of the bike. However, we did go to thinner materials because we found out that the strengths on some of the stuff we were using was just a little too over. And so
it kind of overbuilt. You can actually save weight. Is what you're
Yes.
looking at. And
Yes.
make the bike lighter.
So the current frame right now, the beta, I shouldn't say the current, but the bike being built now, the beta, the frame is only 10 pounds.
Oh wow. Okay.
Fully constructed, fully welded. The previous, or the prototype 1, fully built batteries and everything, is roughly around 70 pounds.
Okay.
So we're going to shave off a lot. Now, the other biggest thing that we did is we went out and we got the 2170 cells, and we packed them in there.
Okay, so people who aren't really overly familiar with batteries, 18650s are pretty popular batteries. They're used in laptops and a lot of things. And the 18, let's see, I'm trying to remember this. 18 is diameter in millimeters, 650 is length in millimeters.
Correct.
So when you're saying, what was it at 27?
2170.
2170, so you can imagine basically a battery that it's beefier, it's bigger diameter. Okay, so we've got bigger cells, so they've got more capacity and also potentially more power.
And the weight savings. For some reason, there's a weight savings. I don't really know how much there is in that, but to give you an idea, Tesla went from an 18650 in their Model S, and the Model 3, they went to 2170s, and you're seeing a weight savings and a density power increase.
Too bad you can't get your battery straight from the Gigafactory, huh?
Already tried. But so, without digressing, so that was the second big one we did.
Okay.
Then the final one was realizing that those hub motors are pretty heavy. They're roughly around 12 to 15 pounds each. So we went with a mid-wheel drive from Bafang. And that's a fully programmable tuner motor that we can plug our laptop in and get any type of curves we want out of it.
And I know that mid-drives are pretty popular right now. Kind of the consensus is that that's sort of the best overall way to go.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. Me as a gearhead, I'm totally into it because I can program my own motor and I can say, hey, let's just ramp up and go like hell. And that's what I'm all about.
Okay, so on the first bike with the two 500-watt motors, that's 1,000 watts. How many watts are you going to have for the next bike?
What's this one rated? I'm sorry.
For the new one, it's close to 1,000 watt hours. So we can use 1,000 watts for 1 hour. To break that down,
Okay, so you're talking
ride
a
time's
continuous rating on there basically then.
Yeah, so although we've decreased the size of the battery pack, we've increased the capacity by double, basically.
Okay.
It's incredible, just by switching to those cells.
So the motor itself, is that a 1.5?
It can do up to 1,500 watts, and that's depending on how we want to program it to run. But it has 3 stages. It can run 750 watts, 1,000, or 1,500.
Okay, and it's programmable, so potentially, like there's some places where you can or can't have bikes on bike trails, some places where there might be a top speed limit or a top power limit.
Yep.
You can change those
Customize
settings.
it according to your need.
Okay.
Correct. So let's say we were processing an order for a bike someday. We would call them different trim levels, different models of that bike, where we would say, okay, this is the 750 watt version of the bike, and so on and so forth, depending on what the user would want for features.
Okay, so you've got a mid-drive instead of hubs, different better batteries in there, still that kind of cool looking frame where the battery pack is integrated in there. It'd be a single throttle instead of dual throttle then.
Correct.
Sounds pretty cool. Going to have custom paint jobs or anything like that on there?
Yes, totally new, like delivery, basically a packaging, you would say.
Okay.
This will be more finished product than the prototype.
Okay, frankly, I like the silver aluminum look, but like powder-coated lime green or orange or something might be kind of cool too.
We want to cater it to all the audiences, so we'll try different and we'll open it to the customization, to the user needs, so whatever they want to do.
I'm thinking Plastidip.
We could have one with like a cow pattern.
There you go. There we go. And that's your car.
That's a Wisconsin
That would
trademark.
that could be a thing.
Yes.
So.
We could call it the Ben series.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I did vinyl on my car, and I mean, vinyl is a really easy way to decorate anything. And I mean, this is still kind of a tubular, you know, it's a geometric frame, and because of that, if somebody wanted to customize it, it would actually be really easy to do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. There's also a lot of other things that, if we dove into it, we'd be here for hours. But we have a laundry list of different ways we want to go, color palettes that we've already worked out. There's lots of customization that can really be done to this next bike, especially with the change in the design of the bike itself. there's a lot of room to make this bike very personable. And so that's going to be a huge thing that we can do versus what other bike companies can do as well.
And are we talking like micro manufacturing, short run production, and because of that, it's easy to do customization then?
With some of the parts that make it customizable, it's going to be very easy for us to integrate that.
So you guys have built a really cool electric bike, learned a bunch from that, and now you're working on another one with a number of improvements. So the bike that we have here, can I take that out for a spin?
Sure,
Absolutely, absolutely.
You should.
Like, I want to see that shit grin on your face.
So we'll go outside. We're in Pewaukee. There's the beach here. There's a bike trail right around here somewhere, and some cool city streets. So I'll take the bike out for a spin. Okay, is right now with this video, is there a web page or something if people want to learn more that you want to send folks to?
We have everything in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and definitely the links are with you, so you can always share that with all.
Okay, and I can put a graphic right here at the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
Facebook, Twitter, all that, and so check the links in the
You
video.
can subscribe, follow, and just look at our crazy work sessions which we had and different designs and whatever we're coming with. So sneak peeks and all the different info you want to get.
Nice. Is there any one last thing you want to just let people know about what you guys are doing?
We're trying to change the
Perception.
That's what I was going to say.
perception, basically, and it didn't even started with the whole e-bike. Actually, we wanted to do something totally different, but we wanted the medium to go out and prove it to the people that we can bring something different. So we chose the e-bike route because that's very popular and famous right now.
Right now is the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I've always thought transportation is a current issue,
Yes.
and anything that we can do to reduce carbon footprint, get a little more exercise, get outside, encourage DIY, all that stuff. I'm a big fan of.
Doing it.
Yeah, look cool while doing it. It's going green and being cool at the same time.
Like, a thing that excites me is you have tons of people who live in a cityscape and maybe they get around by cars and buses. What if they each had their own e-bikes and could commute to work, commute to the store, restaurants and stuff, all in that city area, and they have plenty of charge to do so, and it's very manageable to park a bike and operate it.
Reduces congestion in traffic.
And charging it is easy, and then again we're getting rid of fuel. That way, gasoline.
One thing that comes up with me a lot is there's still a lot of conversations with electric cars. People saying, "Oh, where do I charge it? I live in an apartment." But the thing with bikes is now you guys have an integrated battery pack, so you can't just pop it off there to charge. Correct. But bikes literally go right through a person door, so you could roll this into your apartment, plug it into the wall, recharge, anything like that, real easy.
Very easy.
Yep.
Yeah, the bike itself, like myself, I didn't think that I would actually use it for as much as I've used it for, but I've gone to runs to the grocery store, I've used it for runs to the hardware store. Hey, I need to go over to a friend's house, instead of taking my car, I've actually taken my bike. Cool. So, surprised
You
there.
got like your bags hanging on the bike.
My backpack, throw the backpack on and look cool at pulling up to Home Depot. Hey, what are you here for? Got to get a couple tools, maybe some plumbing supplies, groceries. They fit right back in the backpack too.
Sure, mount a ladder rack on the bike and you're really set then.
Right? Yeah.
Which, no joke, I have done that with my electric motorcycle. I've seen some pretty cool photos of people with like surfboard carriers on bikes, things like that. Surprisingly, there's a lot of bikes, even just plain bikes, make actually pretty good cargo vehicles. Yeah. Well, let's head outside, go out for a ride around on the bike, and check these guys out. We got links in the video, and all three of you, thanks so much for stopping by and talking with us.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks.
And we'll see you next time. Stay charged up.
Let's go!